So we are at the last part of the third chapter. So at the end of the last session, Krishna explains what it means to act on the spiritual platform. That's our real platform of existence, because we are a spirit soul, and a spirit soul, it's spiritual, it's eternal. That's we are. This, as a spirit soul, we act spiritually. Acting materially means identifying with the body. Acting spiritually means that we act in relation to Krishna, because we are a part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, it's natural. But one who has a relationship with Krishna, he understands that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, the source of everything. And therefore, he has the exclusive right to enjoy everything. And we are supposed to be enjoyed by him. If we are enjoyed by the Supreme Lord, then we will feel satisfied, because we are become connected with his spiritual bliss potency. But two conditions to act on the spiritual platform is, Krishna says, that first, surrender all your works to me. That's the first thing. Whatever we do for the pleasure of Krishna. And in full conscious of Krishna. We do it consciously for him. We don't forget him while we serve him. And then there are two other conditions. Never think yourself the proprietor, but be aware Krishna is the proprietor. And don't act for your own enjoyment, but for the enjoyment for Krishna. And don't be affected by the so-called results of your activities. They are for Krishna. That be always happy and joyful in execution of this service for Krishna. Now in text 31, Krishna explains what happens when you follow his instructions. Especially this instruction in this verse 30, where he says how to act on the spiritual platform. And in verse 32, he tells us what will happen if we don't follow his instruction. First, verse 31. Ye me matam mitam nityam anutishtanti manavam shadavanto nasuyanto muchante te pikarmabi. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and will follow this teaching faithfully, without envy, become free from bondage of fruitive actions. So Krishna says, yes, you engage in my service with that desire, then you act spiritually and you don't have reactions on your actions. That's complete renunciation. Then you are free from reactions. You will not suffer. That if you eat vegetarian food, not offered to Krishna, you will suffer because you are responsible for the killing of these plants. But if you eat Krishna prasadam, you will not suffer. And you will enjoy and not suffer. Because that's spiritual enjoyment. So we get free from these reactions. But if we don't follow this, if we act out of false ego, what happens? Text 32. Yetvetat abayas, yetvevat abasuyanto nanustistanti mematam sarvajana vimudam stam vidinastam ashetasa. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors of perfection. If you follow Krishna's instruction, Krishna gives you knowledge from within. So surely you will start to understand that I'm not his mind, that I'm not his body, I'm not his mind, I'm not all these desires which comes up in my mind. The mind proposes so many things, and we follow them. But then you will not follow, you will rebel. You will say, no, I'm not your servant to the mind. I'm the servant of Krishna. But if you don't follow Krishna's instructions, you will not become purified. And you will identify more and more with the body. Now, we come at the last section, because in this section, Arjuna will say to Krishna, that's all good what you are saying, but I cannot do it. There is a force greater than me, which forces me to act according to the proposals of the mind and identify with the body. What is that force? And Krishna will explain what is that force and how to overcome it. It's a very important section. So we go to text 34. Yeah. So I read the verse first. Indriyasya-ch3 ragadvesha vyavastita. Tayoh navasam agachat toyasya paripantino. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversions because they are strangling blocks on the path of self-realization. So Krishna has instructed Arjuna, and we started with that today, how to act on the spiritual platform. But Arjuna is saying, yes, but that's very difficult. Why is that so very difficult? And Krishna explains here, there are stumbling blocks, attachment and aversion in this world. That attachment and aversion comes from identifying with the body. We become attached to these things and become averse to things. Therefore, we like things and there are things we don't like, right? Likes and dislikes. We like what give pleasure to the senses. That we like mostly the Sunday feasts, the gulab jamuns, because the senses likes that. But then, if you eat too much, you get indigestion. We don't like that part. We don't like the suffering. Everything what goes suffering, but does not feel good to my mind, we don't want. The mind protests. Don't do that, you will suffer. do that, you will enjoy. That's material consciousness. Attachment and aversion. Srila Prabhupada in a purport goes straight to the most heavy attachment in the material world. And that's sexual attraction. And these attachments, these attractions are there. Because we have a body, we cannot really neglect them. But Srila Prabhupada said these should be regulated according to the scriptures. What is the regulation for fulfilling sexual desire? It's marriage. Marriage is the regulation. That the vivaha samskar, marriage. But Srila Prabhupada said, it's good, but not perfect. In the purport here, he writes, a man, although he has attraction for his own wife, he will have also attraction for other women also. But that has to be curbed, controlled. Otherwise, that will cause great havoc, great difficulties. That this becomes a very heavy stumbling block, and that it's difficult to overcome. It must be regulated, and we must control it. Otherwise, no spiritual life. It's good, but it's not perfect. Srila Prabhupada said, even on the royal road, there can be an accident. Sometimes we see men going astray, or women also. That yes, it happens. But that's the greatest attachment in this world. So the regulation is not perfect, and that is symptomatic to this world. When you eat a pizza, how long do you enjoy? How long did this take? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Yeah, and then half an hour. But even half an hour, even half an hour after that, what happens? Then you can only remember I had a good pizza, right? It's not perfect. And then you get hungry again, and the problem starts again. So it never stops. And so this is desire and hate. That we desire ice cream and pizza, that we hate something which is bitter, a medicine we don't know. But in spiritual life you must overcome that. You must learn to act with your intelligence, spiritual intelligence, not listen to your mind. That if you listen to your mind, yes, it tastes good, eat more, eat more, eat more. And then you eat too much. And then you are sick. Was it good to listen to your mind? I don't think so. That the mind, we should not listen. Material nature is going to your mind and makes arrangement according to your karma. And we are following the mind, identifying with all these feelings and this attachment and aversion. That's the problem. That's the duality in this world. Good and bad. And good and bad is nothing more than an invention of the mind. That we may think it's good or bad, but reality is much different. That there is nothing such as good and bad in this world. All attachment to things in this world are bad. But whether in the form of attachment, positive attachment, or negative attachment. Negative attachment means aversion. And people are absorbed in that. I'm just rereading a chapter on the history of ISKCON in Europe, and I'm in a part of Germany. And people like that, this attachment and aversions. It's good and it's bad. They want to hear the real bad people and the real good people. So when the Hare Krishna movement, they got some opposition in German, all these newspapers, they made publicity about our movement, bad publicity. That they are collecting money just to give that to their guru in India. They are saying it's for feeding children, but it's for their guru in India. And they are doing illegal drugs. They have illegal weapons. They are monsters. And like that, the press made one story after another, all invented. But what was the result? The newspaper sold like anything, because anyone wants to read that. Of course, they became all purified. They read Hare Krishna is bad, but Hare Krishna was there. The holy name is purifying him. Dus desire and hate, that's our problem. Good and bad, suffering and happiness. Krishna says, that's the first instruction he gives to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Matras parshas dekantya shutashna shukadukada rama parino nityastam sutikshasva bharata. Arjuna, you must tolerate this happiness and this stress. That like tolerating heat in the summer and cold in the winter. Yamina pyatatante te purusham purushakshaba agama parino nityastam sutikshasva bharata. No, it's Yamina pyatante purusham sukadukhanam samdukhaskam drivam somitattvaya kalpate. If you can tolerate this happiness and this stress, this duality, you are ready for liberation and going back to Godhead. So important it is. Because this attachment and aversions makes you identify with the body. Because this good and bad is only for the body. The sense enjoyment is for the senses and the mind, not for the soul. The soul does not need that. The soul needs its relationship with Krishna, experience of ecstatic love. So nothing in this world will satisfy us. So this absorption in this duality are like thieves that steals our spiritual wealth. That's what Baladev Vidyabhushan says. Is desire and hatred are like thieves standing in front of a traveler on the road next to him. And this is Vishwanath Chakravarti. He says, attachment and repulsion are firmly fixed in each of the sense objects. One should not come under control of attachment and repulsion. They are two obstacles. So we see a mosquito biting us. We say, oh, that's bad. But do you think the mosquito sees you as an enemy? No. A mosquito. It just happens that your blood is his food, that's all. That it's not your enemy. That it's a spirit soul inside. In the machine. You have a pilot. That we are the pilot in that machine here. And we are piloting the machine with our desires. We have to change our desire to act spiritually, and desire not to be controlled by this attachment and aversion. A devotee is only interested in following Krishna's instructions. And following these instructions is good. Whatever the result is, if it's suffering or happiness, the devotee does not care. That's for the body. The point is, I want to please Krishna and the spiritual master by following their instructions, and that's acting spiritually. And it requires tolerance. So Vishwanath says here, attachment and repulsions are firmly fixed in each of the sense objects, and one should not come under control of attachment and repulsion. They are two obstacles. Don't come under control of it. Most people live like that. That they live and they want to do what they like, and they don't want to do what they dislike. And they want to associate with people who are compatible, soulmates. Someone who likes what I like and who dislikes what I like, we are friends. But one who does not like what I like, forget about it. That this is the results of becoming controlled by these dualities. Next one, Srila Prabhupada. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification. But those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. So that's the point, that we should not be overly interested in sense enjoyment. That it's not that you cannot have sense enjoyment, but just what the body needs. That eating will always remain a kind of sense enjoyment. But therefore, Krishna gives us the proper diet. Krishna prasad, healthy prasad. It's very important. Eat with your intelligence, not with your tongue. That, not with your mind. Eat what you need, Srila Prabhupada, to keep body and soul together. What you need, not too less, not too much. Regulated. So no interest in sense gratification. That's punah punah sarvata sarvananam, Prahlad Maharaj said. We do in this world always the same stereotype things. Every time eating at regulated times, every day the same thing. That every time we become enthusiastic to do the same thing. It's very stupid, but anyway, we are doing these things, but we regulate it in Krishna consciousness. And we understand the purpose is to keep us healthy, not to enjoy. That's not the purpose. But those who are attached to the enjoyment of eating, they are controlled by their attachment and aversion. It's like someone who drinks alcohol, he becomes addicted. It becomes an addiction. It's the same addiction. One who drinks too much alcohol, even a little, gets very sick. But is attached to enjoying it. The same with someone eating. If one is used to eat too much, it's difficult to get rid of it. One becomes so attached to it. So that therefore a devotee minimizes all these things. He knows, I don't want to be controlled by these things. In the beginning, we will be controlled, but we minimize the control more and more until it is nicely regulated. So that's following the rules and regulations of scriptures. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, don't eat too much, don't eat too less, don't sleep too much, not too less, and so on. A balance. Next one, reflection. What are the attachments and aversions that I struggle with? How to overcome these obstacles? We can see in our own life, in our own heart, what am I really attached to? But you can ask the question in another way, what do I really like? And I want that really. We have to be honest with our attachments and work on it. 35. That. Because, I will read 35. Shreya Swadharma Viguna Paradharma Svanusita Swadharma Nidanam Shreya Paradharma Bhayavaha. It is far better to discharge one prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duty perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's duty is better than engaging in another's duties. For to follow another's path is dangerous. So here Krishna says to Arjuna, you have to do your duty according to your psychophysical nature. You are a Kshatriya, you have to remain order. You have to punish those who do not follow the scriptures, the rules of good behavior, that because Duryodhana and all these Kurus, they transgressed many principles of religion. Duryodhana, he tried to kill the Pandavas by burning them in a house of black. He tried to poison Bhima, he tried to disrobe Draupadi, their wife. There's so many atrocities but a Kshatriya must maintain order and punish those who are criminals. So he had to do his duty, but Arjuna did not want to do his duty because he saw at the other side, because of his attachment to Bhishma Dev, their grandfather who raised them practically. The attachment to Dronacharya, their guru. So Arjuna was protesting, I'm attached to them. I'm averse to killing them. But Krishna says, you have to do your duty. If you are a judge and the person is to be justice, your own son, and he did criminal activities, the judge must punish him. You must put that aside, this attachment and aversion, because especially it was Krishna's order. So there are many orders of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, all spiritual instructions, and we should follow them, and that's our duty. And not saying I will not follow them because I don't like it, but because of my attachment and aversion, I cannot follow it. No, you must follow it. You must do your duty, even imperfect. It is better to perform one's own duty, even if faulty, than another's duties perfectly. It is better to die being situated in one's own duties. Performing another's duty is a cause of misfortune. Yeah. Next verse. Destruction of the cause of performing one's duty is better than performing another's duty, which is dangerous. Yeah. This is a story of Ekalavya. Ekalavya, he made a deity of Dronacharya and was doing puja for Dronacharya. And by that, he got the power and insight how to become a good warrior, how to become be expert with bow and arrow. But if you take lessons from a guru, you have to give dakshin. You have to remunerate the guru. So Ekalavya said to revealed to Dronacharya that he learned it by worshipping his deity. And then Dronacharya said, then you must give dakshin. And Ekalavya said, what do you want as dakshin? He said, I want your thumb. And then he could not use the bow anymore. The point is, Ekalavya was not a Kshatriya. It was not his duty to do these things. Anyway, there are many stories like that. Then 35, yeah, next slide. As long as one is on a material platform, one performs his duties. One must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. So you have here on this picture here a Sudra, a Brahman, a Kshatriya, and a Vaishya. That they are the four orders, four different psychophysical natures. That the Brahman is the intellectual, the Kshatriya is the administrator, the Vaishya is a man who does commerce and agriculture, economic activities, and the Sudra is only good to assist all the others. And that's their nature. But we must perform it. It doesn't matter what your nature is. One material nature is not better than the other much. Although the Brahman is in goodness. But despite all these things, you can use your nature in the service of Krishna and become purified and become a Vaishnava. So you must do it for purification. To become Krishna conscious, that's important. We don't have to change our material nature. You do what you do, but do it for Krishna, according to your nature. So do I act according to my psychophysical nature on the order of the bona fide spiritual master? Because that's the duty of the spiritual master, to see how the disciple is situated in material nature. What is the psychophysical nature? And instruct the disciple to instruct the disciple to act according to his psychophysical nature. So when I joined Radhadesh, my Guru Maharaj said, you are an accountant, you take care of the accounts and organize everything in Radhadesh. That's what I did. I didn't change my nature. That he asked me to engage according to my nature, what I was good in. You do for Krishna. But then in 36, Arjuna is asking a question. Arjuna vacha atake na payuktayam papam charati purusha anitsham apivasnya bala ivo niyochita. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to act, impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, if engaged by force? So Arjuna said, I must give up my attachment and aversion, but I cannot do it. There's a force that is greater than me, which forces me to act according to this attachment and aversion. What is this force, Krishna? And then Krishna, he answers in the next verse that Kama isha koda isha ratsaguna samudbhama sanama papno vichinam iyavayanam. Krishna says, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the old and devouring sinful enemy of this world. So here the enemy is described. We have all this enemy in us, lust. And lust, when it's not when it's not satisfied, it creates anger. We heard that already in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Dayate visyapum sansanghas te shabachayate sankha sangyate kama kama koda vichayate kama koda and so on. But Krishna says that when one meditates on things of this world for enjoyment, one becomes attached and lust enters your heart. I want to enjoy it. We make plans for it. Then the enjoyment comes and it's not what we expected really, and we become angry. And by the angry, when he's angry, he loses his intelligence, becomes bewildered, and identifies more and more with the body. So that's the greatest enemy. And in the section that follows, till the end, it describes how to get rid of this enemy. Spiritual life means purification of the heart. And that the first purification is getting rid of this enemy, lust. Because from lust comes anger, greed, madness, illusion, fear, envy. It's all coming from that. And we must all kill this enemy. So Krishna will first describe the enemy and what it does to you. What's the result of being influenced by lust? And then he says to Arjuna where we can find this enemy, and then how to conquer this enemy. In nearly the last verse, the two last verses, it describes the method how to conquer this enemy. So that we will hear next week, Friday. Any question? Yes? the point, so the question is, I repeat it, that Krishna in 3:35 says, Arjuna, you have to do your duty, and not the duty of another, even if you do it perfectly. The question is, but if someone does it perfectly, why not doing it? The point is that if you act according to your psychophysical nature, you will feel materially satisfied within. That by doing the duty of another, you can do it perfectly, but you will not feel the same satisfaction. And we must also consider, we acquired a certain material nature. That's due to our past karma. That's arranged by the laws of nature, which is Krishna's laws. So that's the circumstance Krishna gives you. And we have to work from that circumstance, not trying to create another circumstance. Just use it in the service of Krishna. But there are two things here which you have to consider very carefully. You have material nature and spiritual nature. So we have two svadharmas. We have a material and a spiritual svadharma. The material svadharma, or the material duty, is to act according to one's material nature, one's psychophysical nature. And the spiritual svadharma is that we have to act as a servant of Krishna, following the orders of the spiritual master, of Krishna. That on the material platform, we must act according to our material nature. But by using our material nature in the service of Krishna, we become purified. We use our material nature to fulfill our spiritual duty. Then we become purified. And when we become purified from the material nature, even when we are in this body, you can do anything. Even that is completely contrary to your material nature, because you have transcended it. But still, most devotees who have transcended it, they still continue to act according to their previous material nature, to give an example to others. But we have seen Srila Prabhupada did everything. He was cooking the accounts, he was translating the books, he was leading a multinational society that he was planning his travels, he was answering dozens of letters every day, he did everything. But even his Western disciples could not cope with that. They could not keep up with him. So we should not imitate that. We can do that when we have transcended the modes of nature. Does that help to understand? Okay. Thank you very much. Shantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.